I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Eddie Murphy is back in the spotlight with a brand new Netflix documentary that is out right now. It's called Being Eddie, and it gives you a lot of insight into his legendary career and how he basically reshaped Hollywood in the 80s and 90s. Marlon Palmer is here. He's watched it. He's got an Eddie Murphy background behind him as I'm looking at him right now. Marlon, what's good, homie? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
It's nice to see you. Listen, on the day that Being Eddie came out, you posted, you had this tweet. You were like, "No one call me today because you're clearing the schedule because it's time to watch this documentary." Why was it so important to you?
Eddie is Michael Jordan when it comes to stand-up comedy, at least to me. And I feel like his his life hasn't been documented enough or highlighted enough because he's so reserved as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw a lot of that in this documentary as well.
You watched. You said you watched it twice, so I take it as good. Tell me about your opinion of it. What do you make of this doc?
I thought it was amazing, super inspiring to hear some of the backstory, especially when it's funny how when people attribute genius to someone, how they can create genius for moments that simply aren't. So like even just him in Beverly Hills Cop, when he walks past the guys in the Michael Jackson outfits, everyone attributed genius to it because he's so funny and he's so clever.
Because he's walking past people. That was interpretation. It's like, oh, Eddie Murphy's making fun of himself because he's laughing at people with leather suits. And then he says, what does he say?
And then he's like, no, my friend just made a face while I walked by. And like that to me is a testament to how amazing he is that people would take even such a small moment and be like, he meant to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very perfectly cut clip also. I was like, you hear this journalist be like, this is a very important moment in black film. You know, this is Eddie Murphy making a commentary on Eddie Murphy. And then you just cut to, and then there's Eddie, and he's like, no.
And it's that guy too. Like, it's the Dr. Umar of documentaries on black culture. Like, that guy with the dreads always is going to bring civil rights into it. And it's like, brother, it was just a smile.
I think he should change his LinkedIn title to the Dr. Umar of black films. I think that's what you should do. Okay, I want to play a part of the documentary. I just want to play Eddie Murphy talking about one of the high points of his career. This is he's going to talk about the 1983 special Delirious.
Delirious is mostly stuff that I had built up over the years. Delirious had this energy, this manic energy around, and it really had a rock show quality. That's why I had leather suits and shit on, trying to roll around like Elvis.
There's something about the way that he talks about Delirious where he's like, the references are Michael Jackson, the references are Elvis Presley, the references are the greatest entertainers on the planet. So he's talking about the special that turns him into a household name, and talking about that, you mentioned that red leather suit. Talk to me about the ways that Eddie Murphy and his style sort of had influence on other black comedians. How do you know, where do you see that influence?
Yeah, it's just like his ability to shorten and cut the fat. Like, he gets straight to it, simplifies it, and he keeps a childlike quality that every comedian tries to hone on stage. But you can't hone that, you can't train that. That's just, you have to have such confidence in your material that you can start playing around with it. And I've been doing stand-up for 3 years, and I've just gotten to that point with 45 minutes of material. It took 3 years to do that. So for him to do that at the tender age of, like, what was he, 21, 22 years old at that time? It's insane. So I think everybody just admires his ability to be an incredible storyteller. And the impressions obviously are insane too.
Do you remember watching Delirious for the first time?
I remember listening to Delirious for the first time. I actually accidentally downloaded on LimeWire. I thought it was a Soulja Boy song.
Shout out LimeWire.
And and I listened to that special for probably the next 2 months nonstop. I listened to it in class. I'd listen to it in the hallways. I'd memorize it and do the bits for my friends. And I actually did not see the actual. I didn't know there was visuals until like maybe 8 years later. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
I lived in a Christian household, just to preface. So there was no Delirious happening in my house.
This was not.
He was Dr. Dolittle in my house. That was it. That was it.
There is a great part in the documentary where Pete Davidson talks about the first time that he watched Delirious, and it's his mom buys him the DVD shortly after his father dies, and the minute that he puts it on, there's all the swearing, and then she's like, I should turn this off, but suddenly she's seeing her son happy for the first time since the death of his father, and there's something about that special that brings a lot of people comfort and joy. But also, the thing that this documentary doesn't do, Marlon, is it doesn't talk about the parts of Delirious we don't talk about often, which is like the homophobic parts. I mean, like, there are parts.
Does.
Not enough. It does. It does kind of skate around the criticisms of Delirious, shall we say? Was that a surprise to you that you're like, we're just gonna skip over this part?
No, not at all. First of all, you get Eddie to do anything, you're gonna do what he wants. Okay,
right?
You're not gonna try to piss him off. Eddie doesn't pop out, and I understand this documentary started from a place of him wanting to get back to stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But then the pandemic happened, and it just turned into this. And so I think you're right.
It preserves the myth a little bit.
Yeah, it preserves the myth, which I think is great. I think too many times these days we try to like just villainize people who inspired us, and we don't focus on the inspiring parts anymore. It's just the cancellation stuff. And so I admired that they didn't talk about the prostitute. They didn't talk about the divorces too heavily. They didn't talk about Delirious, like the homophobic tropes and all that. But he did kind of hint to it in saying, like, I look at that guy and I don't recognize him. Like, I know it's me on the screen, but I'm so different. I've evolved in so many different ways and so many different times that I don't even recognize me or what I'm talking about up there.
There's the reason I come at it from a different perspective is that I actually think like Eddie Murphy could take it. You know what I mean? Like, I think like even Eddie now could take the criticism of being like, whatever it is you were trying to do there, these things worked, and these things obviously established a legacy and a pipeline. But also we gotta talk about the ways that you sort of handled this. I actually think he could take it, but also choosing not to, fine. It's his documentary. That's not.
I feel like he'd make it like, but I'm friends with.
Yeah, true.
I'm friends with Andy Warhol, man.
That's true. First of all, thank you for the impression. We're doing impressions for the rest of the show. When you look at Eddie's influence in general, what would you say is his biggest contribution?
His biggest contribution, probably being able to step away when something is so amazing. Like, he could have stayed on the stand-up route and would have had a totally different career.
Yeah.
And look at all the things we would have missed out on. Coming to America, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, Clumps. Like, it just keeps going. So it's like his ability to understand and follow his passion no matter how good something is going. He did it with SNL, he did it with stand-up, he did it with music, and then he did it with movies. And so I admire his ability to keep going to the next thing because he feels like it. And also it inspired me watching him not having to be Eddie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he talks about how at the start of his career he struggled with that.
Yeah.
Like, should I be what everyone's expecting me to be in the room? No, I'm just going to be me and be myself. And I struggle with that a lot because I don't want to be on 10 all the time. So it's a very inspiring as a comedian to watch another comedian say, no, you can turn it off. It's okay.
I think there is something really striking about watching all the other comedians in this doc talk about Eddie, because they're talking about someone who's like on another planet than them, right? Like the way that they talk about him is like with this sort of extraordinary kind of reverence. And I think what was amazing is like hearing Dave Chappelle go, my mom would wake me up and go, hey, the guy that you like is on television. Please wake up. And you just think, oh, he is the blueprint for everyone we take for granted now. Like, without Eddie, there's just like nobody else. So if maybe with 30 seconds left to go here, is there a specific Eddie Murphy work that you want to recommend people maybe return to and say, look at that and look at what he managed to achieve with that?
The Nutty Professor entire series. I think his ability to play all those characters, make them unique, distinct, have their own voices. It's and just the passion behind it so bad that you would sit through 4-hour makeups every day. Like, no one's doing that. That's crazy to me. So kudos to him.
I will say my opinion of the Nutty Professor changed after watching this documentary. I took those movies for granted, and I'm like, oh, you'd have to be on another level to be willing to do all of that. So I take your point, and I appreciate your time. Marlon, you're the best, man. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Marlon Palmer is an actor, comedian, and a co-host of the Extra Gravy podcast. He co-hosts Ace and Marlon in the morning on Toronto's Flow 98.7. You can catch Being Eddie streaming right now on Netflix. My name is Elamin. This is Commotion. See you tomorrow.